Alright, we're back with another video. Um, Today I'm going to be going over the wingbacks for my 2026 US men's team World Cup squad. Who I picked, why I picked them, how I see them benefiting the team overall, and how I see them fitting into the specific system that we use. Of course, if you haven't watched the previous videos, I'll link my full 26-man roster at the end of the video. And then I also have my in-depth goalkeeper selections and my center back selections. Let's get into it. So first, I'm going to be bringing Sergiño Dest. I think that's obvious, lights it up anytime. He's just such a game changer for club and country with PSV. That he's the way I see him fitting in this system is we got the 5-back, the 3 center backs, and then the 2 wing backs are going to be playing much more forward because of the center backs and the support they have on defense. So I think that's going to be huge for Dest, especially. It gives him the freedom and creativity to go up and use that creativity he has going forward. Whether it may be helping on overlapping runs or giving runs up the middle. The flair he has, he's the perfect wing back for this system. Great on the counter attack, transitions. He's just so pacey. He can outrun pretty much anyone. He did come back from that injury in the Eredivisie, and he's been quality since. So I think he's a sure lock for the tournament this upcoming summer. The next guarantee and my other starter over on the left now is Jedi Robinson, Anthony Robinson, of course. Lighting it up over at Fulham. The talks about him maybe moving to Liverpool, maybe he's moving here, maybe he's moving there. Probably not going to happen, but he's once again one of Fulham's best players. I know they've been giving some more minutes to Sergiño, but I still think he's clearly our number one. There's no question about that. Maybe it's a good thing that he's starting to share minutes with Sergiño, so then he's more fresh for us when we need him. But his engine, his recovery, his pace, his crossing, everything, just his forward play, you name it, he's got it pretty much for a wing back. Great defensively as well. So the back 5 really isn't going to benefit him from the defensive standpoint as much as it will Des, but it'll definitely still give him that freedom to go forward more and help on the attack. But I think he's guaranteed. He's a lock. He's a starter. I think we can all kind of agree on that. Next, we got Joe Scally with Mönchengladbach. Super strong player, super strong defender. I don't think he's as gifted going forward as the other 2 guys, but I think one thing he is really strong on is his defensive ability and his strength and his size. He's able his pace as well. He's able to use that really effectively to just win the ball in those defensive situations. He's still fine going up and attacking, but I just think his skill set is more beneficial for defending. So I see us if we get a lead in a game and it's looking like we're probably not going to break down their defense for another goal. I definitely could see him getting brought into the game. He can play either the left or the right, whether Dest or Jedi are having a bad defensive game. I could see him coming in for sure, but I think he's just super adaptable. He's just flexible on where we can play him. He's so big he could probably even play one of the 2 center backs on the outside. Probably not this central center back, but he could play left or right center back for sure. I think he's also a strong pick for the roster, and I will likely see him going this summer. Next, we have the new Villarreal man, formerly Orlando City. That's Alex Freeman, of course. Super athletic, super fast, super great on overlapping runs. A good strong defender. Good at winning balls aerially as well. I know that's not necessarily what you think of when you think of a center back, but he's got that good physicality aspect to him as well. Poch has taken a big liking to him in the past windows. You know, he had that goal in that one game, and I think he might have had an assist also as well in that same game. He's got a lot of attacking potential, but he also brings that defensive aspect. So that's one thing I think he's better than Dest at, but I don't think he's a stronger attacker. I don't know if we have many stronger attackers than him. Gets a lot of good minutes for Orlando City, but we'll see how it plays out with his new transfer. But yeah, he will likely get called up just from how much Poch likes him and how well he's performed and earned Poch's trust. Anytime he's called up and he starts, he's always performed. So I see him going as well. And then on the left, for more depth, I see Poch bringing Max Arfston, you know, the Columbus crewman. He, of course, with the crew, he's lighting it up. Really strong in attacking play. Another good defender. He's great in that back five because it gives him that freedom to go up and less not saying that he doesn't have any defensive responsibility, but it's a lot less defensive responsibility than it would be without the back five if it were only a back four. But he's, you know, the crew has had a lot of success, and I think he's a main reason for it. But yeah, same thing as Freeman. Didn't really hear much of him before we hired Poch, and then we hired Poch, and Jedi was not coming into camp, so I don't recall why, but yeah, Arfston was very opportunistic, and he got into the lineup, and he essentially said, "This is my spot. You know, the only other guy I'm really competing with is Jedi, so take the spot from me if you want it." But nobody's really been able to do that, so he's definitely, I see him. I think those five, the five I just named, you know, Jedi, Dest, Scally, Freeman, and Arfston, I think they're pretty much locks on making the roster, but you never know with injury. Maybe some of these next guys could get in, you never know. One of the guys who's on the outside, I think, is Brian Reynolds. You know, he's got good European experience, strong in attack. He's also pretty strong on defense too, but I think he's a much stronger attacking right back. He has gotten called up under Poch. You know, I just don't think he's necessarily been quite like Alex Freeman has, in the sense that when Poch calls him up, he's just lights out. So I don't know. I could see him making it maybe if Freeman goes down with an injury, or maybe Scally goes down with an injury, but I don't really think that's likely. You know, he hasn't had the most consistent minutes. Like I said, you know, he doesn't have the edge on Scally, Dest, or Freeman, so I don't see him necessarily going. Another exciting young guy is John Tolkin. A lot of pace, tons of pace. Great in attacking play, good defender, but I think he's a better attacker as well, kind of like Brian Reynolds. He doesn't have the most senior team experience, but same situation as Reynolds to Alex Freeman. I think John Tolkin's kind of taken a backseat to Max Arfston, so maybe if Arfston goes down or maybe Scally goes down, I could see Tolkin also getting the nod there, because Tolkin can kind of play both sides, but I think he's a much better left back. You know, he is left-footed, of course, so that's Tolkien's likeliness. But of course, Jedi's blocking him as well. Another guy who, you know, 7 years ago, he was getting all the call-ups, but as of late, you really haven't heard much about him, is Reggie Cannon. You know, he's got a lot of pace, pretty good in attack, kind of iffy defensively. I don't really see him getting a call-up, but he has been playing well at club recently. I don't think he's going to edge out any of the other guys, and, you know, doesn't really have that experience under Poch, so he might be a little past his window. Another guy who's exciting, but, you know, he just hasn't had much of an opportunity with the national team, is DeJuan Jones. You know, he's great attacking, great defensively. Just hasn't, you know, he's been playing in MLS for some time now, and he just hasn't made that European move. Not that he necessarily needs it, or Poch even cares about it. It's just he does have sometimes his form does dip, and he's not like a sure call up, kind of like the Dest or the Robinson, but he's a guy who could slot into any of those positions, and I think he'd be a strong replacement. But that's all I see him as, a replacement in case someone gets injured, but not very likely. Another guy, he was one of the oldest guys on our squad, probably one of the oldest field players besides Reem, at our last World Cup, and that's DeAndre Yedlin. I don't really see it likely that he gets called up. Super fast, good veteran. He's very good in attacking play, but I don't think he's the strongest defender. I think he's gotten better the older he's gotten. Really strong leader. Of course, has that World Cup experience. He was even part of the 2017 mishap when the boys didn't qualify. He is getting older, so those minutes might take a big toll on him. And the younger options like Freeman and Arvston, like they'll probably step ahead of him and get the nod above him. But you never know what happens with injuries. But I don't see it likely he gets called up. Another candidate for left back, I think Tolkin is kind of on the outside, looking for any injuries or anything that may happen. But maybe we need multiple replacements. I see Caleb Wiley potentially getting called up. Of course, signed for Chelsea, but I think he's out on loan right now. Super athletic, great aerially, good pace. He was a star boy for us on the youth team. He doesn't have the most senior caps. Anytime he is called up, it feels like it's like that January camp, which I'm kind of surprised we didn't have this year for this exact reason, just to see what some of the younger guys can do. But yeah, I don't see him getting brought up. But you never know, if we need more depth at left back, then who knows? Maybe he does get a call up. Maybe he gets called up in this March window just to see how he does. But I don't see it very likely. The next couple guys I think are even a step further and likely not going to get in, but you never know. For some of them, they might be getting looked at for future World Cups, like Christopher Lund. Good Serie A minutes, dual threat, great attacking, great defending. He has been in recent camps, but that was more under like Berhalter. Not a consistent selection, and anyone competing with Jedi Robinson and Dest, that's not really an ideal situation to be in. So he hasn't been able to stand out in that sense. But I don't see him getting called up this World Cup. Another guy I don't see was someone who I was very surprised got called up last World Cup, and that's Shaq Moore. I thought he was great defensively when he got brought in. I know it just surprised everyone, so nobody was really used to it. But I thought he did fine, but I don't see him getting brought up this tournament. But he does bring that experience to the table, so we'll see how that goes. George Bello, he was a really, really, really promising left back for a while there. Everyone thought, some people thought that he was going to be one of our starters, and then Robinson just kind of took over. But he has had inconsistent minutes for us. His form has faded. He hasn't been too reliable, so he just kind of went down the pecking order a little bit. But you never know. He could really come into his own in the next couple of years, and he might be ready for the next World Cup. Another guy who's kind of like a hybrid, like fullback, like midfielder, but traditionally more of a fullback would be Julian Gressel. I don't really see him getting picked. He's 32. He's getting a little bit older. Some people see him more as a wingback. Some people see him more as a midfielder. He might get brought because of that flexibility, but I don't think there's a very strong chance at all. but you never know. Another guy is Brandon Serviana. He's a strong right back option. I mean, he's good both ways, attacking and defending. Nothing really stands out in his game, but he's just reliable wherever you need him. Doesn't have many caps at all, and he's not really the biggest standout, so I don't see him getting brought. And then one of the last guys who I see more as a next World Cup kind of guy would be Jonathan Gomez. He's got the left back upside that we're looking for, but he'd be more of like a developmental project. Like, I don't see him contributing for us this cycle, but who knows, maybe his progression and his development goes really well in the next couple of years. I could see him getting a call up for the next couple windows before the next World Cup. Of course, we're a couple years away, so anything can really happen, but I think he'd be a guy to look for next window. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I'm going to link the full 26-man roster. Again, my starters are Jedi on the left, Dest on the right. I got Scally, Freeman, and Arfston on the bench, so let me know what you think, what you would change, and be sure to watch the full 26-man roster as well as the goalkeeping and center back videos that I dive deeper into those pools and see who I would take, see who I would leave home. Thanks for watching.